this is Ed from Musica Lessons. And the band, The Neighbourhood from California, burst onto the scene in 2013 with their hit single, Sweater Weather. And we're going to take a look at that tune. In 2013, it reached #1 on the Billboard Alternative charts. Now, I encourage you to check out the blog post. There is a Wikipedia link so you can learn a little bit more about the tune. There's a YouTube link so you can check out the video. And there's also a tab link for you to check out the lyrics and the chords, although I have a chord chart for you that is part of the blog post, so you should check that out too. There's also a song spec section which has all of this information plus the chord progression, playing tips, the tempo markings, that kind of stuff. Now, come on back and we'll start going over some of the playing tips. Sweater Weather is in the key of E flat. However, we're going to use a capo here at the 3rd fret and play in the key of C. So we're going to be using open chords in the key of C, and it's pretty straightforward. It's going to be pretty easy. The thing that we're going to have a little bit of an issue with is that the tune itself, because of the production elements involved, it uses electric guitars as textures. And there's a driving drum beat that is really the foundation of the tune. So we're going to have to recreate all that in the way we approach our accompaniment. All right, so we'll talk about that in a little bit, but next we got to cover the chords. This tune is in the key of C. I know we said that it was an E flat, but because we're using a capo, at the 3rd fret, we're going to think in C and we're going to play in C. So we have an open C chord, an open A minor, open E minor, and an open G chord. Now I choose to use a 4-finger version. Feel free to use the 3-finger version or even a 2-finger version of the G chord. Don't get too hung up on the chord voicing. As long as you hit the G chord, you're going to be fine. And a D chord. That's it. All the chords are pretty straightforward. So review those. Come on back and we'll talk about how we're going to strum this song. The song revolves around a 4-chord progression that repeats, and it's going to be the same for the intro, verse, and chorus. So we need to create different textures in our strumming. One of the things that I use is a loose arpeggiated approach, which is just, arpeggios are just playing one note of the chord. It's sometimes called a broken chord. You're playing one note of the chord and letting the notes ring out. So here I'm going to demonstrate it on the C chord. I'm just going to hold the C chord. And what I did here was I played the 5th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. 5th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Now, you don't have to hit those exact notes. I'm just using it to create a texture. I really don't focus too much on it. I'm kind of hearing it in my head what I want the accompaniment to be. Okay, so one approach, arpeggiated. Then the other approach is a targeted chord strum. Okay, so I'm pretty much repeating the same pattern. I'm hitting the bass note twice. And then I use a targeted strum approach where I hit the bass note and then I aim for the top part of the chord, which is the top 2 or 3 strings. All right, so I aim for the lower part of the chord, usually the root, and wherever that is, if it's on the 5th string or the 6th string. Sometimes it's on the 4th string, which we'll see in the bridge when we go to the D chord. But wherever that bass note is, that's what I target. Then I target the top 3 strings. Now sometimes on the up strum, I'll only catch 2 of those strings. Sometimes I'll catch 3, sometimes I'll catch 4. It really doesn't matter, it's a loose approach. And that's pretty much it for the tune, because we're going to be playing the same 4 chords over and over again. One measure of C, one measure of A minor, one measure of E minor, and one measure of G. So it's just combining the different techniques, which is going to be the flat strumming. I also use pulsing. You'll see what I do with my left hand, where I strum the chord, then I'll release the pressure to keep the strings from ringing. And what it does is it creates more of a percussive feel, more of a rhythmic bounce. And that's what you want to go for. You want to use all of these different techniques, and I really base it off of how the singer is singing, how everything feels. So I kind of make it organic in that way, in that it's not a hard and fast approach. You're really just using these things to see how you feel and see how you can create the textures. All right? And the last thing is in the bridge, it shifts down a little bit in tempo, and the feel becomes a little bit more of a shuffle type feel. Now for the bridge changes tonalities. It goes to A Dorian, which is A minor. We play that for a measure. G for a measure, and then 2 measures of D. That's the progression. That 4-bar progression repeats, and at the end, you hold the D. All right, so you don't play through. You hold it for the 2 measures, and then we go back to the regular chord progression in C. When he switches to the bridge, he also changes the tempo. Now, they do segue, they do a transition. They don't abruptly change tempos. They'll come out of the... Now all I'm doing is I'm just changing the feel of the tune. I'm using the same physical techniques of strumming, but I'm just changing it to a shuffle feel, a little bit more of an uneven 8th note feel. Listen to the recording, use that as a reference, and then use these techniques to come up with your own acoustic guitar arrangement of it. I hope you enjoyed learning Sweater Weather. I certainly enjoyed preparing it for you. Thank you for hanging with me, and I'll see you here next time.